Scotty, what do you think about the Chiefs? Oh, the Chiefs are going to lose this week to the Broncos. Oh, that's a weird take. Gosh, what are we doing here tonight? I'll take the Dolphins to win, but the Panthers to cover. Okay, all right. That's a big. What was it? Let me take a look at that real quick. Dolphins to win, Panthers to. So, I think the spread is. I mean, I have that as a 12.5-point game. That's pretty close to where it should be. The Dolphins should cover. But there's a backdoor option with the Panthers that I just don't want to mess with. So I'm just going to leave it alone. Spread 13.5. Yeah. I make it 12.5. So actually, you're getting value on the Carolina Panthers tie, which, to cover, that's a big number. It's a big number. I don't know if I could go with it. As we talked about, since we've made this graphic, things have changed a little bit. Justin Jefferson is out for a while, so don't count on him. Even the D, don't give him the D. Travis Kelce, questionable, but he has been practicing, and he's most likely going to be playing this week coming up. So make sure you guys, again, look at all your injuries, all the people on your lineups that you are always keeping tabs on, and make sure you're checking them before each and every single game. Because there's always changes in these questionable players, whether or not they end up playing or not. Game time decisions, things along those lines. Super important. Plus, we have, in case you don't know, an early game this week. So another game over in Europe. So account for that one. Travis Kelce is questionable. He should be playing. Deshaun Watson. Here's the thing with him. I have him on one of my rosters. I have him currently starting at the moment. I most likely won't keep him in my lineup, just based off of the fact that he is not going to be 100%, even if he comes back. He's going up against a tough defense in the 49ers. I just don't love the matchup, and it's just going to be a rough issue going against a team as quality as the San Francisco. It's a right lateral ankle sprain, actually, for Travis Kelce. So he should play. I don't see any world where he doesn't, unless they're trying to, on a short week, just like, hey, just sit out. We can beat the Broncos, which is another reason why the Broncos could be plus 10.5, a nice option. Let's say I don't know. He's probably playing. I would start him. A-Chain in Miami is out. Zay Jones questionable. Got Daniel Jones questionable after all the beatings he's taking. He should be in an okay spot, but again, I don't know how much more of a beating he can take, but he'll probably try to give it a go. We'll see once everything happens. But yeah, Zay Jones has a knee issue. He sat out Wednesday's practice. So we'll try to figure out, leading up to that game, what he's going to end up being able to do. Yeah, Daniel Jones. Again, not participating. I don't know. We'll see what ends up happening with him. Keep tabs on all of the reports. James Conner's out. He is going to be out for a little bit, actually, so make sure he's not in your lineups. Saquon, he working his way back, probably not going to be ready. Amon-Ra St. Brown leaning towards playing, and Greg Dulcich. There was an interesting move on the Denver Broncos side where they let go one of their wide receivers today to potentially just give. They think Greg is going to be back and ready to go. So Greg Dulcich, if you have him on your lineups, he might be worth starting potentially, but I don't feel super great about it, but I think he'll play. Do I think he'll get a nice workload? Probably not. So maybe not worth starting unless you have zero other options. Mike Evans. Yeah, Mike Evans, I believe I haven't seen any updates on where Mike Evans is at. Because I saw some conflicting things on different. Let's see. He was a non-participant in Wednesday's practice, so I don't know where the lean is for Mike Evans with his hamstring. Hamstrings typically take a little bit of time, and so I would lean probably if you have another option for Mike Evans, it might be a tough go for him this week. Quarterback. Let's dive into quarterback rankings here. We got Patrick Mahomes coming in here for Thursday Night Football at our number 1 spot, followed by Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, and Tua. Then we follow that up with Justin Herbert, Justin Fields, Kirk Cousins, Matt Stafford, and Joe Burrow. So with these matchups here, and let me pull up my fantasy notes so I have these ready to go. But with some of these players here, we got Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, all have pretty favorable matchups. So you definitely want to get them going. Justin Herbert's going to be a great one to start, I think, on Monday night. Monday night, Justin Herbert going against Dallas. I think they'll have some success against Dallas in like a kind of a shootout. As much as I love Dallas's defense, again, they've played against some really terrible teams. So I want to see what Justin Herbert can do, and Justin Herbert can light it up. Justin Herbert's he's averaging currently 23.9 points fantasy-wise across this season so far. So I don't see that falling off too much. I think he's going to be right around that same area. Then you have Justin Fields on this list. Justin Fields makes the list based off of the fact that just in a sloppy game, I think that he's going to be utilizing his legs a little bit. So you might want to potentially consider him if he's maybe on your bench and you have another starting quarterback. You might want to consider Justin Fields only based off of just the fact they're going to be running a ton in some sloppy weather. They're not going to rely on his arm, and that's where he kind of has his strength, right? His strength is between last season and end of last season and some flashes this season. It's been using his legs. So he'll be able to rack up some fantasy points from a running standpoint in a sloppy game. Kirk Cousins, I think, makes this list based off of the fact that he's going to be able to do the same. But he does have a couple missing pieces that I worry a little bit about, but the game plan will still be to win that game through the air. And even in those situations, he's proven in some other games, especially last year, that he's been able to do that. So he's still going to be a solid quarterback for you. Matt Stafford, shootout. I think that game could be over candidate. I think Matt Stafford actually should be a little bit higher on this list. And then Joe Burrow coming in. And again, a must-win situation, trying to make sure that he can elevate with Jamar Chase getting the ball and reviving some of what was great last year and what struggled early on in the season. I think it's back. T. Higgins still kind of banged up. I think Joe Burrow can have some big days coming up here, not just this week, but moving forward. He's going to probably climb these rankings quite a bit. All right, wide receivers. We mentioned Jamar Chase. He's coming here at number 2 behind Tyreek Hill. Then we got Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp, that tandem, Pua Nakua, and Cooper Kupp, just a double-headed dragon there in L.A. So he comes in here number 3. Stephon Diggs, Devontae Adams, both should have some pretty decent weeks as well. Keenan Allen against the secondary of the Cowboys with, again, Diggs' injury. I think that opens up some secondary for Keenan Allen to get some nice catches. A.J. Brown, DJ Moore off his historic fantasy performance last week. Some people just lost to DJ Moore straight up. DJ Moore has been absolutely just targeted like crazy in that offense, and it's been really, really productive for him. But yeah, some really solid options here in the top 10. As you get down here, Mike Evans, we have listed here if he plays. I think it's going to be a good matchup. So I have him here, and I think it'll be good if he's able to play, but not quite. Again, he's questionable, so keep that in mind. If he plays, he's a top 10 candidate. If he doesn't, obviously, he's not going to do much for you. Thank you for the follow. Magnify. Welcome. Who's your team and where you're from? I'd like to get to know you a little bit. DJ Moore had more points than my whole team this season. Yeah, it's crazy. Coming off that last week, I mean, he absolutely... There was... Between DJ Moore and Jamar Chase, man, I could see those two players just absolutely just picking things up right where they left off from last season after kind of some slow starts this season. By the way, last week, Stephon Diggs, 24 points in standard ESPN scoring. Adam Thielen had a big game, 27 points, and Tyreek Hill, 32 points in the last week. But overall, average-wise, it's still the same people. The average for DJ Moore actually came up after one game, but Tyreek Hill, Keenan Allen, Stephon Diggs, and Puka Nacua are still crushing, averaging 23 points or more each week of this fantasy season. And then Amon-Ra St. Brown. Amon-Ra St. Brown has been in that conversation as well. He is going to be in a nice matchup against Tampa Bay. And yeah, I think that he could be, he's been proven to be one of those guys that just can find his way into the end zone. And I think he does this week. How about Olave? Is it trade time in fantasy? It's trade time for a lot of players. I mean, I've seen arguments of, all right, trade and get value for guys like Justin Jefferson while he's, or some of these other guys like Puka Nacua, and, sell high on some of these guys now that Cooper Kupp's back. And I mean, you can. It kind of depends on the makeup of your roster on how you want to go about. If you need some of those, like other positions filled where you're just really struggling. Let's say you need running back help, you don't have a really good tight end, or you're trying to like fill a couple positions and you can trade one for like a couple really solid pieces. I think you can sell high on a couple players. I mean, DJ Moore. Do I think DJ Moore is going to be this prolific from week to week? I don't know. I don't think. I mean, he had the last 2 weeks. He's been extremely productive. But before that, 13.1 points before, 16.4 week 2 against Tampa Bay. Just kind of, I mean, good numbers, but I would say that, do I see that continuing all season long where he's just, I mean, we all know that there's some struggles at quarterback with getting him the ball, but at the same time, he's still being productive. So I would, like a guy like DJ Moore, I would sell high if you had some options that you needed to, or some areas and roster spots you needed to fill. But let's see. Olave. Oh, yeah. Sleeping on Marquise Brown. Marquise Brown. I think Marquise Brown is really good. I mean, there's some really good players ahead of him, but Marquise Brown, super productive. I mean, that offense is kind of a surprise in how they stay in games. It's kind of shocking. Love on my team is a nightmare. He will be, well, and that's another thing. What kind of value can you get for an Olave? So, running backs. There's no surprise at the top here. Christian McCaffrey at the top in a sloppy game that he is going to feast. Now he is going against a Browns defense that I think is going to be a little bit more stout than some others that he's going to be playing against. But in a game with the rain and the conditions the way it's going to be, Christian McCaffrey could be used in a lot of different ways, and I think they're going to lean on the running game. As always, the short passing game, getting him involved, he's going to be super, super impactful for them. I have Eckler here. Now, Eckler, he's questionable, and he hasn't played since week 1 due to the injury, but all indications are that he says in certain reports that he's 99% he's playing Monday night. So that being said, if he does play Monday night, he's going to pick up hopefully where he left off from week 1, where he put up 26.4 fantasy points against Miami, 1 touchdown and 4 receptions for 47 yards. So I think that there's a really good opportunity for him to do some nice things. I have him at number 2 here, right above Tony Pollard and Bijan. Alvin Kamara, we've talked about, is come to, back in the mix with New Orleans. So, we have him here at number 5. Kyron Williams, as he's starting to look as a normal top 10 candidate here in the running back rankings, coming in at number 6, followed by Josh Jacobs and Isaiah Pacheco. Isaiah Pacheco is in for probably a great day, considering he's playing against the Denver Broncos team that is just getting gashed at the running back position. It's not even close. And when you have Breece Hall last week against the Broncos put up 177 yards, 1 touchdown, and 3 receptions for 17 yards for a whopping 28.4 fantasy points, there's pretty good reason to think that you want to get in, get out, get a win, short week, Thursday Night Football, going to be handing the ball off quite a bit. And Isaiah Pacheco is probably one of the guys that you'll want to focus on. Now, you don't typically focus on a lot of Chiefs in this offense because outside of Kelsey and Mahomes, you just don't know who's going to be reliable from week to week. They use different players at different times for this. And so Isaiah Pacheco, if there's one week where you lean on one player for the Kansas City Chiefs, it's going to be him against this Broncos defense that's just getting torn up on the ground by all these other teams, especially like a bad team like the Jets. Like, come on, man. As a Broncos fan, it just hurts. It just hurts. Then you got Raheem Mostert coming in number 9. The injury to Achane, however you want to say it, is going to open up a lot for him. He's going to be the lead and workhorse there behind that offensive line for Miami. So make sure you get him in the lineup. I think he could have a potential solid day as well. And then Travis Etienne. I don't know how the Jags are going to mix it up, throwing the ball through the air. So I think they might need to lean on the running game. Coming back from London, trying to get back in a rhythm. You get in a rhythm through the running game. And I think if Travis Etienne can break a couple runs, I think it's going to be Achane. Thanks, Roulettes. If you know this stream, you know that pronunciations for names isn't the strong point of this stream. Just throwing that out there. Pacheco might have 30 plus fantasy points regardless of the score. Keep close, yeah, 100%. Let's see, what do we got here? Scrolling on me a little bit. How is Tampa against the run? Tampa, let me double check. Because I think, let me see where they're at. Tampa's, I think, pretty stout against the run. Like, they're not, like, mind-blowing, but at the same time, they're... let's see... I had the stat somewhere. Okay. Tampa. I mean, currently Tampa defensively. I lost it. I have to look it up. But I think they have a decent line. You could run on them though. It's serviceable. Yeah, like Keep Close says. All right, let's get to tight ends. Travis Kelce leading tight ends. He'll probably play given the situation with ankle, so he'll be in the mix for Thursday Night Football. So keep him in your lineups. You will probably be getting some decent points from him, even though we've also said that this is the year that tight ends have not been performing as well. You probably want to prioritize the best one in the game. So there you go. Kelsey at number 1. Then we have a few guys here that have been standard, right? Hawkinson, Andrews, Laporta have been pretty much staples in the top 4. Then you get into Darren Waller, who's been a little bit disappointing as of late. And then, again, it's kind of like hit and miss with the rest of these guys. Given they're still in the top 10, it's not always a sure thing. Evan Ingram, Cole Kmet, Dallas Goedert, George Kittle, and Jake Ferguson. Jake Ferguson is going to be in a nice little role that I think there's other injuries across that tight end group that are opening things up for Jake Ferguson. That should help his targets a little bit more, especially against a team that doesn't do as well against tight ends as that's the Chargers. So that's an option that you might want to maybe take a look at. George Kittle is always kind of a question mark, but given the fact that they have so many options, it's tough to trust him from week to week. However, I think in a game where I think they're going to be utilizing a lot of short game, he might be getting more just shorter targets, closer to the line of scrimmage, up the middle. So George Kittle could be a nice little option as well. And then finally, defensive rankings. All right, so let's dive into the defensive rankings real quick. There are some pretty solid matchups here across some of these teams. So these first handful, you got the Bears, Bills, Eagles, Chiefs, and 49ers. Bills have the Giants. Eagles have the Jets. Pretty solid. Chiefs, Broncos, and 49ers have maybe a potential backup quarterback, if not an injured quarterback at the starting quarterback role. So a lot of no-brainers for the top 3 or 4 options, defensive rankings. Then you get into the Ravens against Tennessee. Tennessee's offense kind of relies on that running game, and that could be a low-scoring, grindy, running style game. So you could look at a small total there. Same thing with some of these others. We talked about the Vikings, Raiders, Patriots. A lot of games that just don't feel like they're going to be just over-unders, just not as high in some of those matchups. And then also, too, those offenses just haven't been the Raiders haven't been good against the Patriots. Haven't been good, and the Patriots' offense hasn't been good. You got 2 teams that are just probably just like, what are you getting offensively from each one? So those defenses should be a little bit better than the offenses in each of those matchups. Could be low scoring game there too. Vikings maybe not putting up as many points in some of those conditions as well when it comes to Chicago and Minnesota. But there you go. There are some of the rankings for defensive special teams. Pound the under in that one. Yes. Setting records early. Hey, Jed. Welcome in, Jed. Good to have you in. Who's your team and where you're from? Like to get to know you a little bit. Welcome. Guys, thank you for sticking with me here on a Wednesday night. Again, Scotty will be back on Sunday. We'll be able to have more fun conversations. Plus, Sunday Night Football, we have what's our matchup this weekend for Sunday Night Football? I believe we have, if I'm not mistaken, it's the Bills. No. Yeah. Bills and Giants. So we're going to have a fan face-off for Bills and Giants in that one, which will be a lot of fun. Guys, if you guys haven't seen the fan face-off, it's when we have 2 fans of each of our teams from our community come on and be part of our stream on the Sunday Night Football broadcast. So that'll be a lot of fun. Will it be a blowout? Maybe, but we'll still have some fun talking to some of the folks from our community and enjoying their company while we talk through that game. Also, we will be doing some bingo, giving out some subs. We'll be having a good time. and we'll be breaking down all the previous games that took place earlier on in the day. So make sure you guys tune into that as well.